not scared. I would have left. For real. I'm not. It's just like, I'm gonna be honest. I never had my kid because of the evil stuff that's
carried over your head.
No, it's like
just how the evil in the world.
Yeah, so much evil, but even it's close to my kid. It's in his daddy, it's in his grandmother, it's in the people that
I think that's now why
clout. My baby is clouted out too. Like he got hella clout, bro. Like,
have you seen the trend now? Celebrities.
More famous than me and his dad.
This wasn't just messy. This wasn't just chaotic. This was the kind of public meltdown that makes reality TV look like a calm yoga retreat with scented candles and whispering affirmations. One moment, phones were out, live streams were rolling, and fans thought they were watching another typical Chrisean Blueface circus. The next moment, the energy flipped so hard it felt like someone ripped the brakes off a speeding train and yelled good luck. People weren't laughing anymore. They weren't posting memes yet. They weren't even arguing in the comments. They were typing the same thing over and over like a digital SOS signal. Where is the baby? Because when adults lose control in public like that, the jokes stop being funny real fast. This wasn't celebrity drama you scroll past while eating cereal. This was the kind that makes you put the spoon down. And here's the wild part. This meltdown didn't come with a warning label. No teaser, no rollout, no Zeus Network trailer. Voice saying next time on, it just exploded, raw, loud, and filtered. The kind of chaos that makes people start asking questions nobody wants to answer. Questions that feel uncomfortable. Questions that feel dangerous. Questions that feel like something way darker is bubbling under the surface. Because when fans stop arguing about who's wrong and start worrying about a child, you already know this story went somewhere it was never supposed to go. What made this moment feel unsettling wasn't just the yelling or the cameras or the fact that strangers were standing around watching two famous people implode in real time. It was the rawness of it. There was no performance polish, no playful sarcasm, no this is just entertainment energy. This felt like something private that accidentally spilled into public view. Like a door that was never meant to open suddenly, flying off its hinges. At first, fans treated it like they always do. Phones came out, screenshots were taken, comments filled up with laughing emojis and sarcastic one-liners. Because this relationship has trained the internet to expect chaos the same way people expect rain in a thunderstorm. But as the voices grew louder and the body language became more aggressive, the tone online shifted fast. The jokes slowed down, the laughter faded, the mood turned heavy. People started noticing details. The way tension sat in the air, the way frustration turned into something sharper, the way nobody seemed in control of the situation anymore. This wasn't a dramatic argument where both sides play to the camera. This was messy in a way that made viewers uncomfortable. Because it looked less like content and more like a genuine, emotional breakdown happening in real time. Then came the moment that changed everything. Someone in the comments asked a simple question that hit like a brick. Where's the baby? And once that question appeared, it spread like wildfire suddenly. The conversation wasn't about who started the argument or who was wrong. It wasn't about cheating rumors or relationship drama. It was about safety. It was about stability. It was about a child who didn't choose to be a part of this circus. Fans began replaying clips, freezing frames, analyzing expressions like amateur detectives. They weren't looking for tea anymore. They were looking for reassurance, any sign that this chaos wasn't spilling over into something more serious. But the more people watched, the worse it felt. The meltdown didn't cool down, it escalated. Like gasoline being poured onto a flame that was already out of control. What made it even more disturbing was how public it all was. This wasn't behind closed doors or whispered about later in interviews. This was happening in front of strangers, cameras, and thousands of viewers who couldn't look away even if they wanted to. That level of exposure doesn't just amplify drama, it magnifies emotions, it pushes people further than they might normally go. Because the whole world is watching. And here's where the story gets darker. This meltdown didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of weeks, maybe months, of tension quietly stacking up behind the scenes, cryptic posts, emotional captions. Sudden unfollows and refollows, late-night live streams where nothing made sense but everything felt loaded. Fans had already sensed something brewing, like pressure building in a shaken soda can. People online had been warning about it for a while, not in a dramatic way, but in that concerned, uneasy tone fans use when they feel something is off. Comments asking if everyone was okay, questions about stress, worries about exhaustion. But those concerns were drowned out by the usual noise of celebrity chaos, where red flags are treated like decorations and dysfunction is sold as entertainment. When the meltdown finally exploded, it confirmed what many people had been quietly fearing. This wasn't just another argument. This was a breakdown fueled by stress, resentment, and unresolved issues that had nowhere left to go. The anger didn't feel playful. It felt heavy. It felt tired. It felt like to people who had reached the edge of their emotional bandwidth. The internet responded instantly. Clips spread across platforms within minutes. Headlines started forming before the situation even ended. Commentary accounts jumped in, each one racing to add their own spin, their own exclusive angle, their own dramatic interpretation. But beneath all the noise, one thing stayed consistent. Fans weren't entertained. They were alarmed. Parents watching chimed in with concern. Mental health advocates spoke up about emotional regulation. Even people who usually defended the chaos went quiet, unsure of how to justify what they were seeing, when a situation makes even loyal supporters uncomfortable. You know, it crossed an invisible line, and the scariest part was how normal this kind of behavior has become in public celebrity culture. Meltdowns are streamed, breakdowns are monetized, emotional instability is labeled realness and pushed for views. But when the situation involves a child, the rules change. The tolerance disappears. The internet suddenly remembers there are real consequences behind viral clips. As the argument continued, viewers noticed how quickly things spiraled. Voices rose, body language grew sharper, the environment itself seemed to tense up, like everyone present could feel the volatility. This wasn't just two people arguing. It was an emotional collision with no clear exit ramp. People began speculating about what triggered it. Was it built-up resentment, a disagreement that went too far, stress from constant scrutiny, or something more serious happening behind the scenes that finally boiled over? Nobody had answers yet, but everyone had theories, and they were spreading faster than the facts. What made this moment hit harder than past incidents was timing. This wasn't early chaos when fans could dismiss it as growing pains. This was happening with higher stakes, bigger responsibilities, and far less patience from the public. The expectation had shifted. People weren't asking for perfection. They were asking for control. And what they saw looked like the opposite. By the time the meltdown started slowing down, the damage was already done. The internet had made up its mind that this wasn't just another headline. It was a warning sign, a moment that felt too real to laugh at and too serious to ignore. Fans weren't just reacting anymore. They were worried. And as clips continued circulating, one uncomfortable truth became impossible to avoid. When chaos becomes routine, people stop seeing it as shocking. But when concern replaces entertainment, that's when the situation officially crosses into dangerous territory. This meltdown wasn't just loud. It was revealing, and whatever was coming next. It was clear the story was only getting started. Once the clips escaped the original livestream, the situation mutated into something far bigger than a single public meltdown. This is the phase where the internet does what it does best and worst at the same time. It dissects, it dramatizes, it amplifies. Within hours, the footage was everywhere. Chopped into shorter clips, slowed down, zoomed in, replayed with captions. That ranged from concern to absolutely unhinged. Memes appeared almost immediately because the internet treats chaos like oxygen. But these weren't the usual playful jokes. They had an edge to them. The humor felt nervous, like people laughing during turbulence on a plane while secretly gripping the armrests. Every meme carried the same unspoken tension. this stopped. Being funny way faster than anyone expected. Celebrity commentary accounts jumped in first, pretending to be neutral while clearly enjoying the traffic boost. Influencers reacted with dramatic pauses and widened eyes, acting like they'd just uncovered classified documents. Reaction videos stacked up, each creator racing to sound more shocked than the last, even though none of them were actually surprised. This relationship has been chaotic for so long that people weren't shocked by the explosion. They were shocked by how exposed it was. Then the tone shifted again. Concern drowned out commentary. Comment sections filled with people saying they felt uncomfortable watching it. Parents chimed in saying the energy was alarming. Mental health advocates tried to inject nuance into a space that thrives on outrage. Suddenly, the meltdown wasn't just trending. It was being debated like a case study in public emotional collapse. The wildest part was how fast speculation replaced facts. Some people claimed this was all staged. Because in today's internet logic, anything messy must be calculated. Others pushed back hard, arguing that no one would willingly expose themselves like that for clout, especially with a child involved. The debate split audiences right down the middle, creating two loud camps yelling past each other instead of listening. Pop culture comparisons started flying everywhere. People said this made reality TV families look disciplined. Others joked that even celebrity scandals known for excess would have paused and taken notes. The meltdown became a benchmark, a new reference point for public chaos. At least it's not that bad suddenly had a new definition. But while the internet argued, something else was happening quietly in the background. Viewers started noticing how quickly sympathy evaporated. In earlier controversies, fans often picked sides. This time, many refused to choose at all. They weren't defending or attacking. They were asking for accountability. That shift matters because it signals fatigue. People are tired of excusing dysfunction as entertainment. Meanwhile, screenshots from past posts resurfaced. Old live streams were clipped and reanalyzed. Quotes that once seemed harmless were suddenly framed as warning signs. The internet loves a pattern, and once it decides there is one, it will connect dots even if it has to invent half of them. Every past argument became evidence. Every emotional post became foreshadowing. Public figures who usually stay silent started reacting indirectly. Vague tweets about protecting children, Instagram stories about emotional stability, comments that didn't name names but didn't need to. Everyone knew exactly what they were responding to. When subtweets start piling up, you know the situation has crossed into cultural conversation territory. The outrage machine kicked into high gear. Some demanded consequences, others demanded privacy, a few demanded intervention. The most extreme voices demanded everything all at once, as if social media were a courtroom, a therapist's office, and a reality show control room combined. It was chaos layered on top of chaos, fueled by people who felt entitled to answers. They didn't actually have at the same time. Conspiracy theories bubbled up like oil on water. People speculated about contracts, networks, and behind-the-scenes incentives. They questioned who benefits from public meltdowns and who profits from instability. In an era where every scandal feels monetized, it's hard for audiences to believe anything is accidental. Even genuine breakdowns get treated like marketing strategies. What really pushed things over the edge was how international the reaction became. This wasn't just one corner of the internet talking. Different platforms echoed the same concerns in different languages, different tones, different cultural contexts. When outrage crosses platform boundaries, it's no longer niche drama. It's a moment. The pressure mounted fast. Every move after the meltdown was scrutinized. Silence was interpreted as guilt. Speaking up was seen as deflection. Apologies were dismissed as scripted. Explanations were called excuses. There was no winning move left, because the public had already decided that whatever came next wouldn't be enough. And yet, people couldn't stop watching. That's the darkest irony of viral scandals. Concern and curiosity coexist uncomfortably. Viewers claim they want the chaos to stop, but engagement keeps it alive. Every click feeds the cycle. Every comment fuels the algorithm. The meltdown became both condemned and consumed as reactions escalated. So did expectations. Fans weren't just reacting anymore. They were demanding change, demanding boundaries, demanding proof that someone was stepping in to stabilize the situation. The narrative shifted from "did you see this?" to "why is nobody doing anything?" That's a dangerous place for any public figure to land. By the end of this phase, the story had transformed completely. What started as a shocking public argument had evolved into a referendum on responsibility, accountability, and the cost of turning personal chaos into public spectacle. The internet had made up its mind that this wasn't just another headline to forget tomorrow, and hovering over all of it was the same unanswered question that refused to disappear. Not about fame, not about clout, not about who was right or wrong, but about what happens when the cameras turn off, the comments stop scrolling, and real life continues without filters. Because whatever the truth was, it was clear the fallout wasn't finished yet. When the noise finally started to settle, the aftermath didn't feel like closure. It felt like the quiet after an explosion, where everything looks still but nothing is actually okay. The headlines slowed down, the reaction videos moved on to the next scandal, and the memes stopped trending, but the damage didn't disappear. With the algorithm's attention span, it just went underground. Public perception shifted in a way that's hard to undo. This wasn't the usual cycle where outrage burns hot and then fades into nostalgia or jokes. Something about this meltdown stuck. People started speaking about it differently, with less sarcasm and more hesitation. That alone was a sign that the narrative had changed for good. Reputations took a hit in ways numbers can't fully measure. Sure, views spiked, engagement went up, clips hit millions. But there's a difference between attention and trust, and this moment cracked the foundation of how many people saw them. The chaos stopped feeling entertaining and started feeling exhausting. When an audience gets tired, that's the most dangerous place a public figure can land, behind the scenes. Relationships felt the pressure too. Friends went quiet, allies distanced themselves, support became selective. When controversy crosses a certain line, people stop defending publicly and start protecting themselves privately. That shift doesn't make headlines, but it speaks volumes. The conversation around parenting intensified, not in a tabloid way, but in a deeply uncomfortable one. People debated responsibility, stability, and boundaries like this was a town hall instead of a comment section. The internet remembered, briefly, that children aren't plot devices. They aren't accessories, they aren't storylines meant to boost engagement. What made the fallout heavier was the sense that this wasn't an isolated incident. It felt like a breaking point, a culmination of patterns that had been ignored, joked about, or normalized for far too long. When patterns become visible, denial becomes impossible. Industry whispers started circulating. People questioned future opportunities, brand deals, and network interest. Not because chaos scares the industry, but because uncontrollable chaos does. There's a difference between dramatic and volatile. One sells, the other risks lawsuits, backlash, and long-term damage. Fans who once defended every move began reevaluating their loyalty. Support turned conditional. The tone shifted from unconditional hype to cautious observation. That kind of audience change doesn't happen overnight, but once it starts, it rarely reverses. The most unsettling part was the lingering uncertainty. No clear statements, no clean explanations, just fragments, silence in some moments, oversharing in others. Each move felt reactive instead of intentional. And when the public senses a lack of control, confidence erodes fast. This is where curiosity turns into anticipation. People aren't waiting for apologies anymore. They're waiting for the next incident, the next clip, the next headline, not because they want chaos, but because the pattern suggests it's coming. That expectation alone becomes part of the problem. The legacy of this meltdown won't be measured by views or trending charts. It will be remembered as the moment where concern replaced amusement, where laughter turned into silence, where the internet collectively paused and thought, this isn't funny anymore. And that pause matters because once a story hits that emotional register, it changes how every future action is interpreted. Every post will be scrutinized, every appearance analyzed, every silence questioned. The margin for error shrinks dramatically. As the dust settles, one truth hangs heavy in the air. Fame amplifies everything. Love becomes louder. Mistakes become bigger. And meltdowns become moments that define entire narratives. Whether this becomes a turning point or just another chapter depends on what happens next. But if history has taught the internet anything, it's that unresolved chaos doesn't fade quietly. It resurfaces louder, messier, more complicated. And when it does, the audience will be watching not for entertainment, but for answers. Because the real cliffhanger isn't the drama itself. It's whether this moment becomes a wake-up call, or just another warning sign ignored. And until that question is answered, this story isn't over, not even close. And let's be real, if you made it this far, you didn't just watch a story unfold. You survived an emotional roller coaster that makes reality TV look like background noise at a dentist's office. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't clickbait. This was a front row seat to celebrity chaos in its rawest form. And if that didn't grab you, check your pulse. Now go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money, because the algorithm loves chaos almost as much as the internet does. Drop a comment and tell me what you think, not the polite version either. I'm talking full honesty. Was this a wake-up call or just another chapter in a never-ending meltdown saga? Say it with your chest. And if you're not subscribed yet, fix that immediately. Hit subscribe like you're slamming the door on bad decisions, because this channel doesn't do quiet weeks. Scandals don't take breaks around here. While other pages wait for permission, this one breaks it down when the smoke is still in the air. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next headline that makes your group chat explode at 2 a.m. 1 minute it's silence, the next it's chaos, and we're always here when the internet loses its mind. If it's messy, controversial, shocking, or just plain unbelievable, you already know where it's landing first. And remember, this story isn't over, not even close. The internet moves fast, but patterns move faster. And when the next twist drops, you'll want to say you were already tapped in. So stay locked, stay curious, and stay ready. Because this isn't just drama, this is celeb insanity, where meltdowns become moments, secrets don't stay hidden. And the next scandal is always loading.